my parents were actually from America. Their inspiration to move to the Soviet Union came for their passion for Jesus Christ, and they chose to be evangelical missionaries and moved to Kazakhstan. And so that's where I was for 15 years. Between Kazakhstan and the United States, we would come back every 3-4 years and visit family and supporters and other things. And so I did get to experience life in Kazakhstan in contrast to what was developing into a capitalist society, transitioning from communist to capitalist. And so I got to see what was interestingly two opposite economic states, each in pursuit of the other over the course of my life. So we had the communist country of formerly communist country of Kazakhstan seeking to become capitalist and experiencing the benefit of that process. And we have the formerly capitalist country of the United States of America seeking to become communist and experience the tyranny of that process. And so I've seen these two opposite parallels in opposite directions, and so I'm calling out to my American brothers and sisters: stop! Let's not go this direction. Communism isn't what it's made out to be. I think we could all live better as free people, and so trying to share some of that message.
That's great. Everyone who's experienced that type of governance and economic systems, like whether it be South America or Eastern Bloc countries, always comes to the United States with a different attitude about economics. Really, a healthier one, and a vigilant eye, so to speak, towards communism, socialism, authoritarianism, and especially in economic forms, just more sensitive to that is what you notice. Yeah, that's such a interesting background that you have. I forgot what I was going to ask about. Something about Kazakhstan. Just wow, that's wild that you were there. It just sounds like what they were part of a program or a church or something that kind of sent them there. Because there's missionaries that go all over the world. And I'm guessing it was partly because like there was a lot of turmoil and I'm guessing some level amount of instability. So like that's an opportunity to spread the word and establish just like a culture, establish a culture. I don't know, or more of a culture. What was I guess I want more details of how and why Kazakhstan.
It's such a beautiful place and such a beautiful people that I can see why my parents chose to go there. One of the key elements that made it such a fertile ground for the cause that they were passionate about bringing forward was the fact that communism in its essential essence is the pulverization of all goodness. And that includes culture, that includes religion, that includes relationship, that includes any kind of trust, any kind of beauty, any kind of love that exists in the world. Communism is an agent of destruction and chaos, and will pulverize any positive expression of goodness that exists in this world. And that includes the family unit, that includes the religious unit, the religious community, the supportive community, the community of morality. It includes economic communities, it includes business relationships, it includes supply chains. Those are expressions of love and expressions of self-interest as well, and self-love in an economic capacity, but also a care for the people who work for you and the care for the people who you work for. And communism obliterates all of that. And so you've got to appreciate, in the wake of this system that was collapsing, how people were seeking every level and every degree of humanity that had been withheld from them for so long. And what I really appreciate is my parents went and sought to minister to the spiritual element, but didn't neglect at the same time some of those physical needs and mental needs that the people had and had been so deprived of sustenance from. So my dad did have the pleasure and opportunity to develop capitalistic educational programming, so microcredit loan program, where he would give a family a few $100s to buy a cow and then help them with a business plan every little aspect of becoming self-sustaining and self-reliant once again, instead of depending on the government to slowly starve you, which was the only choice before. Now people could take their destiny into their own hands and actually act to improve their condition and act for their own self-interest and become personally responsible over their destiny. And that is an awakening moment. We think we're going through an awakening. Wait until the extreme far left commies who have been starving themselves intentionally, thinking that that's what's good for themselves and everybody around them, start to come around and start to experience that liberation here in the United States. They're going to be truly awakened at that point. We were born woke, in a sense. We didn't need that, but I'm really grateful for that approach that they took, ministering to all the needs of the people there, and bringing that capitalistic philosophy and mental processes that had been so sapped out of the society, bringing that back into the fold. And there's, of course, a lot of the corruption and other things like that. And people were able to, despite the corruption, still work and develop themselves into sustainable businesses and in rural communities where all that community used to be was a single collective farm. That whole community was one farm, and everybody starved on that farm. So I'm really grateful for that experience. Very formative for me, and it's brought me with some weaponry and some knowledge that I can really express against the communist entity. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, just from personal experiences. What are your parents' names?
Ron and Janine.
You have siblings also?
I do. Yeah.
And what are their ages, and where do you fit in there?
I'm the youngest. They're all older than me. I have older sisters.
How many?
3.
3.
So,
okay, that's.
I was babied and taken care of, and probably spoiled quite a bit by my sisters, and of course they're jealous because being the only guy, my restrictions were much lower than my sisters, for reasonable protective reasons. But yeah, it was fun growing up as the baby.
That's what I was gonna say. As a guy, and especially as the youngest, it's like there's just you're just less precious. Not that you're not precious, you're just less precious. I'm guessing.
I'm less fragile, so I got
true, I guess.
Thrown to the wolves a little bit. I'm grateful for that. I needed that experience.
It's
beautiful.
It's interesting to hear you talk about you coming from a missionary family and talking about the virtues of capitalism, which is like, obviously capitalism's a dirty word to many, especially on the left, of course, and also like religion and spreading Christianity or whatever branch you are of the faith. Like that's something that carries a negative connotation to a lot of people, and that's sad that like people can't see the greater, like the process of people don't get this always, the impressions, that what's really going on is what you're describing, which is a great thing. You probably were not even, your parents were probably not even using the word capitalism or calling what they were doing capitalism. They were just acting in a caring, what do they say? Mm-hmm. Compassionate capitalism. What's the word? Compassionate. What's that? I forget what the term I'm thinking of, that like brands or companies business types use. Compassionate conservatism, whatever the business version is that. But yeah, that's what it sounds like your parents were doing, is just being good people and sharing knowledge. They were teaching a man to fish, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. My dad grew up on a ranch, was a farmer his whole life, and got a degree in agriculture and a master's in genetics. And so even though he was focusing on the business and spiritual aspects of personal development and actually teaching English alongside, so doing everything, really in those early years, he was able to relate with the people in the actual technical aspects of what they were doing. So not just say, here, you need to manage your money this way, or this is what the loan's about, but actually engaging with them in the subject of how they should feed their cow and what kind of hay is best, and how you should develop the hay and treat the hay. And so he was able to build a relationship in that element and really relate with them on a human and a personal level. So, and that's what I'm so I keep saying this again and again, and there's an infinite well of gratitude that continues to feed my soul for this experience is that the relational focus on people. I like to think I learned everything I'm applying now from my parents, and I think everybody is ultimately a product, and we can't really fall that far from the tree, no matter how hard we try.